There's a new front in the war over the name of the Redskins football team. There's the possibility, we're finding out with these documents are being released, that maybe in the future its name could be changed to the Washington Bravehearts, which, as a fan of the movie, I find very interesting. And so what we're talking about here is Aris Mardirossian, who's a neighbor of Daniel Snyder, yes, the owner of the Redskins.
Who is one of the two worst people in professional sports.
Didn't think that that's how you were going to end that.
He's a really bad dude. He is a bad dude. He's bad. He's mean to people. I mean, he loves his family, and I wish him all the best with that. But he's a cruel motherfucker.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
So we know that about Daniel Snyder. We don't know much about Aris Mardirossian, except that he is apparently Armenian. Don't know if that matters. But he did recently.
Well, he's a patent lawyer or a patent expert.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Exactly, who trademarks many things and then files lawsuits. Well, one of the things that he trademarked was the Washington Brave Hearts name. Let's jump ahead. Let's bring up that corporate charter approval sheet so you can see the actual documentation that they were using. If you see on the right, Washington Brave Hearts LLC, and the particular type of trademark is for entertainment services in the form of professional football games and exhibitions, which is, by the way, the exact same sort of trademark that was used for the establishment of what were the teams? The Seahawks and the Buccaneers.
Yep. Those were the last two teams. No, they weren't the last two.
To be trademarked?
No, the NFL, it occurs to me, no, the Jaguars and Panthers came later, but those are two recent NFL teams.
Expansion teams,
Yeah, and so we have that. Now, a spokesman for the Redskins is saying that that's not the case. There is no connection between the Washington Redskins and the trademark application. Dan Snyder does not know the man named in the story, which turns out also not to be true because he was engaged in a lawsuit with that man at one point.
Exactly.
They were together in the lawsuit. They were trying to cut down a whole bunch of trees. Okay. And they were not permitted to.
Yeah, they cut down anyway.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
So it's the lies are so
thin
and brazen. Like you were in a lawsuit with he's your neighbor.
He's your neighbor. You got a spouse. You're in
like,
litigation
how would you
together.
think that we wouldn't know that?
Know him.
Right.
Yeah.
So then that makes me not believe any part of what he says, because here's the way I see it. There's two possibilities here. One is his neighbor overheard a conversation or had a conversation with him and heard that it might be Bravehearts, and he's this attorney, and he thinks, aha, I'll trademark it, and then he'll have to pay me. And his neighbor's a dick, right? So that's possible. Or he's a friend of his, and Snyder got him to trademark it, and later he's going to give it to him, etc. Those are your two possibilities, and I would have been 50-50 on that until they gave the brazen lie that he doesn't even know the guy, right? Which then makes me think, oh,
They're
you're covering
you're
covering it up,
Yeah, totally.
and it's going to be the Washington Bravehearts. In which case, though, I turn all the way back around and go, oh, that's kind of really
good,
cool.
That's
right?
not bad.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page with that. I think that's awesome.
Let me just say quickly, because I want to, literally, Dan Snyder will sue me and sue us. He sued the city paper, sent him a letter saying, because they wrote a story about the 50 worst things Dan Snyder has done, and there could have been 100. I mean, they were terrible things. They're just shitty things. And one of the things was he accused the paper of being anti-Semitic because they drew devil horns on him and a little goatee, right? I mean, because he's the devil. Not because he's Jewish and the devil. And of course, the person who wrote the story was Jewish. The owner of the city paper
Did they
Jewish.
put like a long devilly nose on him?
Right.
No.
And by the way, I was not aware that the devil was Jewish. I was aware that Jesus Christ was Jewish.
Yeah. So then he and the letter that the Redskins then sent was like, look, we're gonna. One of the things, by the way, that was in the list was that the Redskins sued a longtime season ticket holder, a grandmother, who, when the expensive seat licenses on the new stadium came up, couldn't do the annual seat license thing and said, sorry, I just can't pay it, lost job or whatever, I can't pay the $38,000 that this was. And they were like, yeah, you made an agreement to. And she was like, look, I get it. I'm giving up my tickets, but I can't pay it.
And
right?
They sued her?
They sued a fan who'd had season tickets like 25 years, and her whole house, like her couch, was a Redskin couch. Like
oh my God!
Right,
That breaks my
right.
heart.
And then finally, so he sued her. And then when they took the law, she had called like 17 times before the lawsuit to try and work it out. She loves the team, everything.
Yeah.
So they sued her, and when they stopped suing her, they're like, "We're gonna bless you by not continuing the lawsuit, even though we were right." That's essentially what the letter said. The letter then that Snyder sent to the city paper was like, "Here's the deal. You're an independent paper that doesn't have any revenue except from advertising. Good luck. We will wear you down until you retract the story." The city paper wouldn't retract the story, but what they did say was, hey, next issue, you write a front page story written by you as long as you want. we'll run it. Turned that down, sued him instead, wrote that letter. He's just a bully and a cruel guy. But the story was he cut down 130 trees on federally protected land, but he got somebody that he said he believed, and maybe he got somebody at the National Park Service had allowed him to do it. But then the Park Service was like, no, we didn't allow him to do it, and then there was controversy there. But so he got he was exempted in that regard from having directly cut down trees that he was not supposed to cut down.
So I can't quite tell how you feel about him.
He's just, I mean, he ruined the team. I'm not alone. He's why I'm not a fan anymore. I mean, I don't like the name, but I mostly, like, if there were a good owner who kept saying, and a good man, a principled man, had said, look, this is the team name. It's been the team name forever, and I'm not going to change it. I think that guy was wrong, but I wouldn't abandon the team because of it.
Yeah.
Now it just makes it so easy that you're on the wrong. So now I want him to change the name because Dan Snyder's on that side. I mean, I'd want it anyway, but it makes it easy because one of the worst people, Jerry Jones, is a much better guy than Dan Snyder. It's not even close.
Well, so on the name, as you said, he's been pretty clear. He did his open letter to the fans recently, which Rick sent to me, making it very clear that he has no intention to change it, but he's still getting the criticism, and I don't imagine it's going to go away anytime soon. So it's not impossible that they would change the name to the Bravehearts, which I think is an awesome name. I think that it has a certain mythology to it. I did some research to find out the origin, because I like that if they did conceively change it from Redskins, Braveheart still has brave in it.
Yeah.
The Indian
but
it's not actually a reference to that.
It's actually genius. You can keep the logo, right? You can call it Bravehearts.
You can't. I mean, you change the name. You can't keep the logo.
Yeah.
Please.
All right, but you can change the logo. Like, you know what you can do? You can go back to the old logo with the arrow.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you keep some of the theme at least, right?
Got it. Yes.
Right.
Yes, that feel. Yeah.
And so and Bravehearts is something that a lot of people have a lot of good feeling towards. It could be, references back to the old name, but it's not just Braves, because there's a whole bunch of teams named Braves. Yeah. Like, I was struggling. I was, me, I like to be the one that came up with the idea, right? And I wanted to come up with the idea for the Redskins, and I didn't like any of the names proposed. I couldn't come up with an idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah.